identify. I really don't. One of the things I Welcome back to the Weekend Journal here on News Talk 580 WTCM. Yeah, we come to you every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. I produce the show a day or so ahead, but it airs on Saturdays at 10 a.m. We get video of it, such as it is. I'm the chief cook and bottle washer. And got to post all our stuff on Facebook, Jack O'Malley's Weekend Journal. Also, there is a YouTube channel now called Jack O'Malley's Weekend Journal. So if you can find it, follow it, so we can build up that viewership and get more folks watching and listening. You know, I will be honest with you, as I will always try to be. I really want this show to be heard around the state. I don't I originate out of Traverse City, and a lot of stuff happens here, and I want to talk about it. But we've got here on News Talk 580, we got great hosts like Ron Jolly's been doing it forever. He can talk about all the local stuff. My contention is, having spent my terms in Lansing as a state rep, that people really don't understand how Lansing works and how we do things. I heard all the time about how basically we're just as terrible as people in Washington. And I believe that's because you get indoctrinated, brainwashed by watching Fox or watching CNN or whoever your news channel of choice is. And there's little differences. Like in the state, we do not have lifetime benefits, because that's one I heard all the time. Where you get lifetime benefits? No. The legislature hasn't had a raise in 20 years. And we have a balanced budget. The whole thing that's going on in Washington right now, the big, beautiful bill and all of that stuff, wouldn't be a problem, as big a problem, if they had a balanced budget. And the sad part of it is, because of that, they have worked on continuing resolutions for, 10, 12, whatever, how many years. In Michigan, you have to have a balanced budget. And we're going to talk about the latest budget dust-ups here in Michigan in just a minute. But I got to go to the story that has been in the headlines all week, and that is our Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson. Go back to, I forget what day it was. It was a cold day. And Jocelyn wanted to announce that she was going to run for governor. But it was too cold outside. So she said, well, let's do it in the lobby of the Richard Austin building, which is the home of the Secretary of State. So she goes down there and has a press conference. I'm running for governor. And one of the newspapers people said, isn't this illegal? You're not supposed to be in this building. Oh, no, it's not a problem. Somebody else wants to use it, they can. Wrong. As I've said, if you've seen this show before, as a state rep, I mean, you're not into your office like 10 minutes when you're here getting the word. No campaign, nothing on state property. You want to talk to somebody or a donor, you got to go across the street to the coffee shop. You can't do it on state land. You can't do anything. So here she is, the person who is supposed to be in charge, doesn't know what she's doing. So, interesting how this all has played out. Several state legislators have asked the Attorney General's office to investigate this, because wait a minute here, she broke the law. So the Attorney General's put it in charge of whoever, the guy doing it. He comes back and says, could not pursue any penalties against Benson as Secretary of State. They would need a referral from the Secretary of State to do so. The way the law is written, the AG's office says, is because they're thinking it was going to be against a representative or somebody running for whatever. They never thought it'd be the Secretary of State. The law is written. They say that they can only do it if they get a referral from the Secretary of State. So let's assume for just a moment that that is the case. Jocelyn Benson, find yourself the $1,000 and move on. To try and ignore this is ridiculous. In my opinion, it shows how you don't really know all the rules. Somebody in her office should have said, Madam Secretary, you can't do that. There's probably another one. It's a little thing, I know, in the sense that, they just went to the lobby. If I'd have gone to the lobby of the House Office building and said, I'm running for office, somebody would have turned me in and I'd have been fined the $1,000. So she just needs to do that. Now, the AG's office did say something that, I'm trying to be fair here, and that is if what they're saying is true about that law, and I have not sat down and read it all, that the AG is the one who has to refer a case like this to the Attorney General. This is something that the legislature needs to fix. They need to rewrite that law. However they want to do that, they'll get Legal Services Bureau in there to take care of that and help them out. But that is something that should be done relatively quickly, and it should pass, unanimously in both houses, and the governor should sign it quick. So that's an interesting development, and that she broke the rule, but she didn't know it. It's okay, and supposedly she's the one who has to refer it to the AG. She hasn't, so that's why I call on the Secretary of State to just pay a $1,000 fine, because that is the law. That's the rule. It's a misdemeanor with a $1,000 fine. I've heard some people say, "Wait a minute, there's no penalty for this. How can there be a penalty? How can these people get away with that?" There is a penalty. If I had been caught doing it, I would have had to pay a $1,000 fine. I say, Benson, pay the $1,000. Do the right thing. I doubt she will, but you never know. Let's see here. Let's stick with MOS, Secretary of State stuff. The House Oversight Chair asked the Department of State, of course, to maybe have private discussions about these documents that they're asking about election security. We'll see if it happens. Of course, they have subpoenaed, and now I understand that the House has passed a resolution to hold the Secretary of State in contempt because she has not provided that information. We'll see how that plays out. I don't know what, if any, kind of penalty is involved there. But, yeah. Now, one last thing on the Secretary of State, might as well keep kicking. We had the MERT system that candidates could go and put in all their information, their finances and all of that stuff, so that there could be transparency. Well, it was old, decrepit, so the Secretary of State says, "Hey, I need $9 million and we'll create a new one." So they go to it and it doesn't work, right? Nobody can put things on it, or if it does, it takes forever. You can't see what you posted. It's just a mess. Well, the Secretary of State's office said in committee this week, House Oversight Committee, that they've stopped payment on the situation. There's $9 million, designated for this job. They've already paid $3 million. So there you go. Let's move on to something other than that. Oh, budget. Yeah, let's talk budget. So just to kind of bring you up to speed in generic terms here, the House has not had any budget hearings, or they've had hearings, but they have not brought any budget forward. They say, hey, we want to look at this line by line. We want to figure this out, and we want to make cuts where cuts make sense. Well, of course, Democrats and a lot of people, they're stalling. We got to have this done by July 1st so schools know what they're doing in the fall. There's truth to that. But the schools have done this before, and it's rare, very rare, that schools have taken any kind of cut. They always, if anything, get a little bit extra. So I think most school districts, if that happens, will be able to at least plan using last year's budget. I know not ideal, but it can happen. It doesn't mean that when these things start getting voted out, it's not going to happen fast. The problem is going to be they have to reconcile that budget. The House and the Senate budget people and the governor's office are going to have to come together and decide what that final budget looks like. Well, last week, the Senate did kick out a budget that after the conference, the Consensus Revenue Estimating Conference, I'll get it right, met last week. They said, that Senate budget is about $380+ million over. They didn't take all of our revenues are going to be lower than we thought. So Speaker Hall says, hey, they need to fix it and figure it out because they kind of rushed to judgment with their budget, making fun of the House along the way. So the Senate budget is over by $400 million. The House has not presented budgets yet because they say they're looking at how to make cuts and how to make things straightforward. We'll see what happens. Can they get it done by July 1st? Maybe not. They probably could. I'm guessing that it could they can get the education one done somewhere by mid-July. That's my guess. We'll see if I'm right. Say mid-July, and then the rest of the budget has until September 31st. Let's see here. They did pass. We talked about this, kind of an update. The Senate passed. I'm sure the governor will sign it, giving the schools in those 12 counties the ability to not have to make up those extra 10 or so days because of the ice storm. So I know some people might not like that, but I think it's good news. Also, bills designed to ease emergency response logistics during things like the ice storm passed through the House in flying colors. Basically what they're saying is, and this makes sense to me, we have road weight laws, right, and restrictions. Well, during the winter, you don't want a truck of this weight going on a road because it could damage it. Well, they're saying in an emergency, you need to suspend those rules so that if it's an emergency and you need to get this heavy truck in, that they should just be able to do it. So that passed through the House. We'll see if it makes it through the Senate and the governor. Speaking of the governor, she had a event, a rally, whatever it was this week, where she wants everybody to come together and work to become the home of semiconductor chip assembly plant. They call them fabs, which I guess is short for fabrication facility. And she says that she wants to. She didn't identify the company that she's trying to get here, but she says the facility would be a great financial investment, and it's her goal to make it happen before she leaves office. She said, a word we've heard a lot lately, it's transformational, once-in-a-century investment, she says. So where's it going to go? Nobody knows. Nobody even knows who it is, but I guess the Flint and Genesee Economic Alliance executive director said local leaders are looking to attract an advanced manufacturing project, similar to what the Gov is talking about, and they declined to name a specific company, but estimated the 1,200-acre property located at the corner of Linden and Hill Roads near Bishop International Airport would probably be the site of this event. So we'll see what happens. Hey, we need those chips built here in the United States. We saw with the auto industry, but even with our defense situations, we can't rely on those products being made overseas. All right, this is a fun one. I chuckled when I saw it. The Mackinac Center, which is a conservative think tank, they filed a lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of the lawmakers, and they want to basically do away with earmarks, which are those things where, it's also known as pork. So the issue with that is, it might be the bridge to nowhere, and there have been some high-profile issues. But generally speaking, if a representative asks for something, it's for their district, a fire truck, help build a park, whatever. So it's not like, it's all cloak and dagger stuff. I realize there have been instances where it has been, but you hear what I'm saying. Well, this week, maybe they didn't know what the Mackinac Center was doing, but this week the House has initiated a bill, 4420, that would put the transparency movement that the House put into place this year, just in the House, into law for both chambers. And basically what that says is, if you want something for your district, an earmark, we need to know who you are, what it is you want, the amount, and how will it be a benefit to the community, and is it a profit or nonprofit organization? And everybody who had an earmark in the House this term, it's all out there on a website, so you might want to check it out. So the Mackinac Center wants to sue to do away with them. I don't think we should do away with them. I think there should be very few, but some of them have definite merit. I think the House has got the right idea. Transparency, so who's asking for what and who gets what. So we'll move on from there. This is something that I think is important. A March report from Americans for Public Trust into the 1630 Fund found that the group spent $33.5 million on ballot proposals in Michigan since 2014. The report characterizes ballot issues as the way for citizens to sidestep the legislation process and put something on the ballot. Foreign influence loophole for state ballot campaigns, since federal law disallows foreign nationals from contributing to candidates on the national level, but they can sneak in a lot of ways into state elections. And we've seen situations where even outside national organizations have come into the state and pushed ballot proposals. And ballot proposals can be a very tricky thing, because think about it this way. If I'm fronting a law, I've got to go through the process in the House or the Senate, and you have hearings. You bring in all the stakeholders, everybody who's involved, and everybody can tell you what they like about the bill and what they don't like about the bill. And then you compromise, right? You have Legal Services Bureau. The lawyers for the state come in and write it so that it's legal. And then it moves on. You have a ballot proposal. And me and Charlie here can write the wording, and all you need to do is get the 100-word okay by the Board of Canvassers. There's no vetting. There's no look at really what does that bill say, that ballot proposal. And so I really think it's important to really, I'd love to see a change where only groups in the state of Michigan can propose ballot proposals on our general elections. Now, I realize that, state group XYZ could be funded by the national group XYZ, but I think that keeps some of that influence out of Michigan. Why does somebody from Timbuktu care about what we're doing in Michigan? Well, there's lots of reasons why, but they should not be allowed to put ballot proposals on our ballots. Here's another one that there's a ballot proposal coming up that they're going to try. Supporters of ranked choice voting, a system that would overhaul how elections are won and lost in the state of Michigan. The group, Rank Michigan Vote, told the Detroit News that the committee expects to have the Board of Canvassers authorize the wording of its petition as soon as next month. Rank Michigan Vote wants to gather signatures and intensify an already growing debate about how to do this. Rank voting is where you vote and then the top vote getters go again, and other states do it. I don't know, we've never done it for president. I don't think any states do it for president, but for state elections, I know other places have done it. But we'll see. The other thing to keep in mind is next year, in our current state constitution, there is a rule that every 16 years, a ballot proposal has to go up asking the people of Michigan, do you want a new state convention to modify, rewrite, redo the Michigan State Convention? The last time that we had a new convention was 1963. There have been ballot proposals every 16 years, but they get voted down. So this might be a time to say, yeah, we need a new constitutional convention in the state of Michigan and take a look at things. We'll see if it happens, but I believe that's next year that that will be on the ballot. Or will it be this fall? I'll have to check and get back with you on that. Speaking of the Secretary of State earlier, Democrat Barb Byram, Ingham County Clerk and former state representative, has announced that she wants to run for Secretary of State as a Democrat, because that's what she is and always has been. Michigan lawmakers propose selling abandoned maximum security prison. Now, this kind of makes sense to old Jacko. The Standish Maximum Correctional Facility is a 604-bed prison sitting on roughly 118 acres outside Bay City. They want to turn it into a mental health type situation. And it might be a good idea because healthcare professionals sounded the alarm at the University of Michigan Sparrow Hospital in Lansing, talking about how few mental health beds we have out there. We have 5 patient beds for every 100,000 people in the state. All right. Let's see here. How much time we got? Okay. I need to move on here. We're going to take a quick break, and I will be back. So keep it tuned right here on the Weekend Journal on News Talk 580 WTCM. Welcome back to the Weekend Journal. Jack here with you. News Talk 580 WTCM. All right, time is short here. Want to throw a couple things. Next week, the Detroit Regional Chamber Mackinac Policy Conference is going to be on after the holiday, and that means nobody's going to be in session next week in the legislature, so it should be a quieter week, but we'll still report from what's going on there because there's lots of discussion. But I'm looking forward to next week. Reporter for the Detroit News, Beth LeBlanc, got to meet her and know her a little bit when I was in Lansing. She's going to join us next week to kind of just talk about her observations of the year so far here, the first 6 months of this term. So Beth LeBlanc from the Detroit News joins us next week here on the Weekend Journal. I think it'll be fun. Memorial Day weekend, big weekend. The DNR is saying if you're coming up north, be on the lookout. They said things aren't going to look like you're used to, and things could be rather unsettling because of all the ice storm damage. They're reminding folks when you go into the woods, whatever, look up, pay attention. If you are a hiker, please obey all the road closed signs because there's debris. If you want to kayak and do all that stuff, realize there still may be branches and whatnot, tree trunks in the water. They're doing their best, but there is a lot to clean up. Plus, they're trying to get it all done before these little pesky bugs slide in there, too. So if you're heading up north, come on up, but be ready and just be safe in the woods because there's a lot of debris and whatnot that they're still cleaning up. And the forest's gone in a lot of places, so that might be a little bit of a shock to you, too. AAA is saying a record 45.1 million folks will travel, including a million or so here in the great state of Michigan. Gasoline prices down. Last year it was $3.66. As of Tuesday this week, the average gallon of gas was $3.14. Around the state, Ann Arbor was at $3.17. I'm just picking them out here. Jackson, $3.13. Lansing, $3.23. Marquette, UP, $3.09. And Traverse City, $2.93 on average for a gallon of gas. All right, Memorial Day weekend. Don't want to get too preachy, but I might. You know, it's the first weekend of summer. I know our weather's not going to be the greatest, but still, it's a weekend of summer. We've got all summer to golf and fish and boat and do all that stuff. And you still can this weekend. Do what you want. But realize that Monday, in my opinion, is a very special day. It is a day that, you know, we honor vets a lot. And I love our veterans, and I salute them for serving their country. But remember, Memorial Day is about the men and women who gave the ultimate sacrifice. And we need to take time to do that. And I kind of helped coordinate a Memorial Day service for a lot of years. And I don't know how many times I'd ask somebody to do something. Well, we got to go boating that day. You can go boat in the afternoon. Find time to at least stop for a moment of silence. Say a prayer. Go to find a Memorial Day service. They're all over the place. Just remember what General George Patton once said. It's foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived. Memorial Day, a very important day. I want you to have fun. I want you to recreate. But take that time to remember those men and women who gave the ultimate sacrifice. I would think if you stop and ask, there's somebody in your own family who we lost in one of those great battles. So keep that in mind this weekend, if you would. I'd appreciate it. You can join me if you're in the Traverse City area Monday at 10 a.m. at the Veterans Memorial Park on 11th Street. We'll have a ceremony, and you are welcome for sure. The Weekend Journal. Every Saturday at 10 a.m. on News Talk 580. We then post video on Facebook and YouTube. Both of those locations are called Jack O'Malley's Weekend Journal. If you are checking it out on YouTube, please hit the follow button so that we can build our audience there. So that way, if you listen to it live on the radio, great. If not, you can catch it later, right? And at your convenience. And on Facebook and YouTube, they're all there. Yeah, we're adding them in there every week. So please do it. I enjoy it. I hope you do too. It's the Weekend Journal. News Talk 580 WTCM. It is a great day to be alive.